Salam guys, I'm here with Mus'ab. He's one of the young up-and-coming young guys. I use young twice. Young guys in Houston. Let's not do long introductions on this show. Let's just get into it. Okay. We're going to talk about athletes and activists. Sunnah? All yours.
Well, I think that this discussion came about because we were discussing things like the Colin Kaepernick dilemma, which is unfortunately behind us. I mean, you know, it's not relevant because it hasn't really been in the news lately. This was something that made headlines. The latest, fiasco was the Fox News anchor that told LeBron James when he was commenting, I believe, on Trump or something like that, to shut up and dribble. And that's when Abdullah and we started discussing the history of sports in America and the United States especially. I mean, it's one that you can't really take activism outside the sport. You know, we were discussing that people with platforms, I think you said it pretty well, that people who have a platform have a responsibility.
Sure.
That platform comes with the responsibility, whether you like it or not, that now you have people who pay attention to you, who listen to you, so now you got to do something about it. And if we look today, LeBron James is one example, Colin Kaepernick is an example, Ronaldo is an example on a much more global scale. All the humanitarian issues, doesn't care if it's politically correct or not. He's putting it out there and he's doing it.
Sure.
You know, and I'm sure that there may be people who have some sort of incentive, but we like to think, you know, as Muslims, that most people are doing it out of the goodness of their heart.
Give people the benefit of the doubt.
But I think that this topic can't be addressed without taking a look into history. I mean, who was the most influential athlete of all time?
Muhammad Ali.
Who was
the athlete of the 20th century? That's huge.
Exactly. I mean, the debate is between him and Michael Jordan. I had this coworker, me and him had this debate.
But there's no comparison.
Dude, we were discussing, we're arguing. He's older than me, and I said Muhammad Ali is the best, and he said Michael Jordan is the best, and I said Muhammad Ali had global, impact, and he's like Michael Jordan had global impact.
Yeah.
We pulled a Colombian lady who worked with us, and we pulled an Indian guy who worked with us, and both of them grew up abroad. It was Muhammad Ali or Michael Jordan. Who did you watch when you were a kid? Muhammad Ali. My grandfather would talk about Muhammad Ali. The Colombian lady said that. So, and to go along with that,
what was what is Michael Jordan outside the basketball court?
I'd say,
he does ads, movies. One of my favorite movies of all time.
He's a business mogul. He's on his way to being a billionaire if he's not already a billionaire.
To be fair, one of my favorite movies of all time is Space Jam.
Space Jam, exactly.
So, which is cool. So the kids know him, like him, but generally he's a basketball player. And the ads are because he's a player.
Michael
Ali
Jordan,
outside the ring. Is it the ring? Outside the ring,
yeah,
it was everything.
He was a humanitarian. He was a philanthropist. Michael Jordan is famous because he was one of the first, prominent athletes to make it to take endorsements to the next level. He made his own shoe collection. He made his own shoe line, which people are following to this day. He can't even play basketball anymore like he did, and people are still following it. And if you look at Muhammad Ali, his was obviously more on the humanitarian aspect of it.
Now let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back. And one comment real quick, Dr. Omar Johnson, he had a statistic about how much money black people spent on buying Michael Jordan merchandise. This isn't a criticism that you and I can make, but he made this criticism that what if we invested this money elsewhere? So that was the difference in the impact. But bringing it back, what Muhammad Ali did when he was drafted, to go fight in Vietnam, and he said he wouldn't. And as a result of this, this wasn't just a media ploy. Like, he was heavyweight champion of the world.
He declared himself to go.
He declared himself, my name is no longer Cassius Clay, my name is Muhammad Ali. He was already seen as someone who was somewhat controversial, and people were looking for excuses to take him down. This was it. He was stripped of his title.
Which is his income, his source of income, his family.
And his source of income. His fights were now canceled, and his managers somehow, his attorneys got together, and they made a deal with the government. And now it was just a matter of getting Muhammad Ali to accept this deal. I forgot the year that was. It was 1960 something. To accept this deal, and you know what the contingency was in this deal? That he would then have to fight a few matches that would benefit the military. That would benefit the U.S. military.
So he's not even supposed to pick up a gun. He's not supposed to go into a war.
He's supposed to go and put on a show.
Almost like red, white, and blue
almost
shorts.
like a circus animal.
And who was the boxer that actually said yes to doing that and was a couple years ahead?
His managers.
No, but there's the other boxer who said yes to it, and they just took him around, and he was just.
I'm not
Joe
exactly
Lewis
sure.
or something. One of these guys.
I forget
It's like
who
you
it was.
just
It
have
could have
to
been
do-
Joe,
you just
could have
have
been
to
Joe
do, like,
Lewis,
forgot.
but yeah, no, I mean,
Fraser, one of these guys did it.
but athletes agree to stuff like this
Sure.
all the time, and really, his managers were gonna make money. So his managers, who are Muslim, who are black Muslims, they were trying to get him to agree to it. This time, his managers are gonna make a lot of money from it, and he's gonna rebound. But now comes the test, and Allah tells us time and time again that He will test us. And one of the things that He will test us with is money. Pablo Escobar has a very famous quote that no matter how noble a man is, every man has his price. You just got to find out what it is. But then,
I know people that don't have a price.
and
They have been testing
and
the
those
price.
are the people who we
But
need to
they're rare.
look up to and respect.
No,
Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Lou Alcindor. These three were three of many names, right? And these names may not be relevant to us today. But anyone, if you Google anyone, Bill Russell is still relevant. Bill Russell is one of the great. I mean, all these guys were the best at what they did. Jim Brown was the best running back of his time, maybe of all time.
Okay.
Bill Russell, most championships, like he was the MVP of the finals is named after him.
Got it.
Every single NBA finals, he hands out that trophy. And then Lou Alcindor, later would become Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is arguably the greatest college basketball player in history.
Sure.
And
Most number of points, I think, was it?
in the NBA,
Really was.
statistically, he's the best.
Got
He
it.
had the most points, most minutes, most rebounds, third most blocks. Just crazy numbers.
More than Jordan, more than LeBron, more than Kobe, more than all these guys.
I mean, he's in a different class because he's a center. But yeah, he had more points than anybody. But the amazing thing is that these men, and Jim Brown led the expedition, and now all of them are associating themselves with this guy. So now not only is his livelihood on the line, their livelihood is on the line, and they're all in their prime. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's not even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar yet. He hasn't even signed an NBA contract yet. He's still in college. And they get together and recruit some top players, and they hold a press conference. And this is a make it or break it moment. They said, no, Muhammad Ali, you don't have to bend yourself to them. You're taking a stand, we're going to take a stand with you. They hadn't been drafted. They weren't drafted. They were living lavish lives. So now you take that, this was in the 60s, and now you fast forward to 2018, and you're telling a basketball player to shut up and dribble because that's all you're good for?
Or telling Kaepernick that you're not
Or,
patriotic.
telling Kaepernick that you're not patriotic,
Yeah,
or
you're
just saying,
disrespecting
like, that's not your
founding fathers
job.
or countries.
That's not your job, you know? Who are you to protest? Like, why are we taking advice on protest and civic engagement from an athlete? It's not because, it's because they have a legacy that they're following. You know, those are the teachers. Muhammad Ali is the teacher of athletes today. And we know the story of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who was also blackballed. You know, I mean, this guy is if you just look at his game, one of the top at what he did.
I
And
think
he
now
refused to
he
stay.
coaches young people or something. What is he doing?
I mean,
He's a
they're using a title nowadays that a lot of people are using called influencer.
Okay,
Like Abdullah Najjar is an influencer, right? But he's an actual influencer.
No, for sure, yeah.
He's going around spreading this message.
Yeah.
He had a documentary made about him, recently, a movie made about him. And he's playing in the Big Three league actually, so he's still playing semi-professional ball.
I don't know that.
But that's the reality that in America, for a black man to be able to play a game was one of the only ways for them. I mean, this is the rhetoric, the only way to get out of the hood.
Sure.
To be good with the basketball, to entertain.
Yeah, entertain people, exactly.
But they know that, look, now once that I've made it out of the conditions that I was in,
You have a responsibility.
I have a responsibility. Not just an opportunity, a responsibility. And so that's something that I think is critical. I think that's absolutely critical for us to think about. That's the history of athletes. Oscar Robertson, who was one of the first black basketball players, Jackie Robinson, who is infamous. I mean, yeah, they were players, but their admission into a league was a monument of civil rights. It was a milestone of civil rights. It's something that we have to remember, we can't ignore.
Okay.
So I think
Sure,
we
I
should
want
commend them.
to get close to, I agree with you 100%, I want to get close to towards the ending, but we have to, we want to wrap up every episode by ideally bringing this back to our generation,
sure.
youth, and so on, and advice for them. So it's not just like a Wikipedia page of, random issues and topics and people and their biographies and so on, because it's easier to talk about all of these things. And we want it to be relevant and important, and therefore we need some advice for young Muslims related to this topic.
Well, I think that in conclusion, one of the most important examples for us to see is I was born in '92, right? And in the '90s, and in the '90s, we know that one of the best players in the NBA was Hakeem Olajuwon.
Sure.
And for people in Houston, that's extremely relevant.
Sure. He wore red all the way through.
All the way through. Well,
Sure.
actually, he played he played for University of Houston, and then he played for the Rockets for I think 18 years, maybe 17 years. And his final year he played in Toronto, but that was the end of his career. But one of the greatest of all time, 50 greatest of all time,
Sure.
Hall of Famer and everything.
Multiple MVPs, right?
He won one MVP, 94. He won the regular season MVP.
Of the month, multiple times I think. Multiple months.
Well, there's an annual, but both at 94, 95. He won the MVP. But many of the guys who are older than me, they looked up to Hakeem Olajuwon even more because they used to watch him play. And something that there was a brother who I know very, very well, close brother, someone who actually got me into watching basketball. He told me that one of the things that inspired him the most about Hakeem Olajuwon was that he would be sitting in his living room watching on TV Hakeem Olajuwon do amazing, majestic accomplishments, even during Ramadan while he's fasting.
I was gonna throw that out there.
And get this. In Ramadan, he's fasting, he's playing a game. Maybe it's at night, so he's just opened his fast, right?
Or maybe halftime he breaks his fast.
Something like that. Dude, he scores some crazy amount of points, amazing performance, wins the game. The next morning, my cousin went to Fajr. He saw him at Fajr. And every single person, like in Houston, if you want to see Hakeem Olajuwon, and you don't want, not just on TV, you gotta go to one of the masjids where he prays Fajr, where he prays Jummah.
I just realized I never made the connection. IDC, Islamic Dawah Center, which is his mosque, you can say.
His mosque.
Is 5-10 minutes from Toyota Center, right?
Yeah.
It's like a mile, 2 miles.
And I know people who make plans to go to Islamic Dawah Center. I mean, subhanAllah, they shouldn't. They shouldn't, but they want to go there because they're going to see Hakeem Olajuwon praying. Right? But that's a huge example for us. That no matter how great he became, no matter how tremendous he was always loyal to his faith. And we know that actually him coming close to his faith, this was in a documentary, when he came close to his faith, his teammates and coaches said he got a better personality. He became a better leader. He became a better leader, more disciplined, and that's when they began to win.
It's all about discipline.
It's all about that. And those who are close to him, I know brothers who are close to him, people who work in organizations, they say that never have they approached this man to tell him about something, about a cause. Opens his pocket, opens his heart and gives. Because he knows that it is Allah who's given this to him, and he's ready to give back. And this is a huge example for us as Muslims to look up to this man, not just because of his, athletic accomplishments, but because of how his faith played a role and how he continues to be one of the champions of dawah. So, and also, obviously, as we conclude, we definitely, we talked about Muhammad Ali, and we definitely want to pray that Allah forgives him for his shortcomings and his sins and accepts him into Jannah. Amen. I think that his memorial service was one of the greatest acts of dawah that we've ever seen, and we ask that Allah accepts from him and his family.
Amen. Awesome. So, this is great. I was actually really lucky to be able to bring people on. We had just started the series. It's like episode number 2. Hopefully, we'll be back for more, and hopefully, you guys will stay with us for the next 1,000 episodes, inshallah. See you all soon. Assalamu alaikum.